Welcome back to the Strangers Worth Meeting podcast. Today's episode is one I'm so excited about with Jake Zweig. And before we get into the episode, I just wanted to throw a little context out there. So Jake and I actually met up in July of this year, of 2020, to record this episode in Champaign, Illinois. And it was a fantastic episode that we recorded. Jake let me know early on that it might be a little while before I was able to put the episode out. He had some PR things going on. Not a problem at all, because I honestly think this conversation was timeless. I really hope you enjoy it and get some motivation from it. Without any further ado, here is Jake Zweig. Jake Zweig, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here, man.
Appreciate it, man. We're out in the middle of the woods on the archery range.
Yeah. You like the spot?
Yeah, super clean, man. I tell everybody, I grew up shooting every day.
Did you?
Every day.
Because you're from Washington, right?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
I probably shot 2 to 3 hours a day every day.
Jesus.
For the most part. Like up until middle school when I got into sports. But even like sixth grade, we couldn't do sports in middle school, so I was still shooting.
Yeah.
And then I got, you get into sports and not so much. But then when high school came in the summer, that's all I did. That and float around in a boat in Puget Sound.
Did you go hunting a lot at all?
No,
Because there is
not
some
really.
in the area, right?
So I ran a trapping business in the first grade. So I trapped raccoons and squirrels in my neighborhood. So $25 for a raccoon, $10 for a squirrel. I'd bring the squirrels home, let them all loose in my yard. So we had 1,000 squirrels in our yard. And then the raccoons, my dad would shoot them for me, and we'd get $60 a raccoon pelt. So, like, early on, first, second, third grade, we were rolling. Like, I was making a ton of money in the winter, like, ton of money. And then the raccoons went down to, like, $14 a pelt. And so then it was like, I'm not skinning raccoons. And
You were, like, out in the boonies, like, where you live.
No. I live in the middle of town.
Did you really?
So I lived, the best way to put it is.
Because I heard you were saying something on something else where you were like, no, I like it. You grew up rural, but.
So it's funny, like where I grew up, I'm 2 blocks off the Puget Sound. So literally I had a boat trailer that my dad made me. It had 3 big 10-speed bike wheels on it. And at 8, I could pull my boat down to the boat ramp, put my boat in the water, and I had a ton of freedom, right? Like, so I grew up in this boat and fishing and pulling shrimp traps and stuff like that. And then, but we had 3/4 of an acre right in the middle of town. And we had a creek that went through our yard. So we had ducks, chickens, geese. I spent my summers in St. Louis, so we had 2 box turtles from Illinois because my uncle grew up on a farm out here. So when we come out here, I found 2 turtles. And so I took them home. We had 2 turtles, we had frogs, ton of chickens in the chicken coop, And
So it feels more like at home to you to just be outside. That's probably just
100%.
Because even when I called you and setting up this podcast, and you were like, "Well, let's go outside. I want to go outside. Let's do it outside."
Yeah, it's interesting because my dad basically was a savage. Okay, my dad did 4 years in prison. Was a truck driver. Just I don't want to say a violent man, but that's really what he was, a violent man. And so he had some tenants in the house, like you couldn't play in the house. And it rains a lot in Washington.
Yeah.
So I had a pair of rubber boots and a slicker, and he would say, go outside and play. And he didn't care if it was raining, And when he said go outside and play, normally, like, you couldn't come back inside. And so I spent a ton of time outside in the rain, ton of time outside. Like, we built a hay bale bow archery thing in my boy's backyard, in Scott's backyard. So he lived literally catty corner from me, and he had a huge, probably about this size field onto the right of his house.
Yeah.
And in the back of it, we had a archery stand. Like, we had a pallet. We had like 7 or 8. I guess it would be 8 hay bales high, like 5 high, probably 2 wide. So maybe we had 10 hay bales in there. And it had a cover, and you had a little piece of tarp that was over it to keep it dry. So you just walk over there and shoot all you want.
What do you think I always think about, because I had a similar childhood. I don't think I was nearly as enterprising as you because I wasn't running businesses and trapping animals, stuff like that. But I was always outside. I was always outside. I wasn't allowed video games at all for, I don't know. I must have been 16 or something before I had any sort of video game. By then, it was too late. I can't play a video game for 5 minutes. I'm so bored. I'm so over it. Andrea knows. I'm just like walking away. I'm done. But like, what do you think that's doing to kids? I know you work with a lot of kids who probably come up in a totally different way, and their whole childhood's just playing video games all day.
So it's interesting, you know, like I grew up on video games. And I had a Nintendo. I bought it at a garage sale. I'm a big garage sale guy, right? Me and Gary V killing garage sales.
Yeah, his big thing is doing it.
Yeah, so
flipping.
Yeah, so I bought a Nintendo at a garage sale for $15. So I had it, and I like this. You know, you go back to my dad just being different. We bought it. So we had money at times, and we were broke at times. Because my dad would work for a year and a half, and then he'd get pissed off. He'd quit. Be unemployed for 9 months.
But you weren't moving around or anything?
No, we owned our house.
Oh, gotcha.
That was the only thing that kept us from being homeless.
Gotcha.
We owned the house. And so when hard times came, you just, you know, as a kid, you don't realize that stuff.
Nah. You have no idea. You're just so immune to it all. You're just totally naive about how
you don't know that you've been eating the same thing for 4 months straight.
Yeah.
You know.
But you kind of grew up with that understanding of money in a way. I feel like, so when I've heard you talk, and I heard you on one podcast that was real career oriented, the whole thing was really about money. But I know that you're kind of a numbers guy. Like numbers is something that stuck with you. Do you think that was because you had all these businesses and you had your mind on money at all? Or?
It's easy. When you have a Jewish grandfather that's raising you for the first 6 years, then you get. So I got $5 allowance every Friday. I got $5 allowance, and I figured out if you got $300 or $400 in your allowance, if you go spend $30 or $40, you still have a lot of money in your allowance. So I would always save my money, but the problem was if you got the $500, Grandma bought you a government bond. So you were always trying to keep it under 500. Because if you messed up, like I go to my grandma's house every weekend, but if I messed up and didn't think about it for a couple months.
Yeah,
I would come in and be like, damn, all my money's gone.
Right.
And then you had to start saving again.
Right.
So from an early age, and we do it now with my kids all get $5 a week because it just teaches you fiduciary responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
how old are your kids?
I got an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Okay.
All the birthdays will change over here in 2 months, so August and November.
Yeah.
But it just comes back to, like, you just learn, and it's something about being raised in a Jewish household, like, you just learn. Like, you learn money. You're going to learn money at an early age. And I'm not saying that it's carte blanche because I got a cousin who's the exact opposite of me. Like, spend everything that was in that envelope, period, no matter what. It was always gone. So you could borrow from people, and it would be IOU in the ledger. Like we had a ledger in our envelope.
Yeah. And
my envelope would always have its red. Borrows are in red, deposits are in blue. So there's 2 pens in the drawer, and it'd be like, hey, I owe you $40.
Without asking, or just
no, you didn't have to ask.
You didn't have to ask.
Yeah, you didn't have to ask because it was a drawer of money.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was just kind of like one of those deals.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I think Grandma would pay you back. So like Grandma would deposit, instead of them getting $5 this week, it would go into your envelope.
Yeah.
Because you would see like some $20 deposit days, right? If both of my cousins borrowed from me that week, then I would get their $10, So
yeah. Okay.
But it's just it's interesting because we do it with our kids now, and my 8-year-old, I want the new Scott sweatshirt. It's $40. And we'll make him click on it on the webpage. He won't click on it.
Yeah.
He'll be like, "Nah, Dad, I'm good. I don't really need."
Well, it's
that.
messed up. People who don't have that trigger, because I'm the same way. If I'll look at something and be like, "I'm definitely gonna do this. I'm definitely gonna buy this thing," but I take a long time to buy stuff. I think part of that is our lifestyle. Since we do travel full time and we've had to get rid of pretty much everything we owned previously.
Yep.
If I'm gonna buy something, I know that I have to invest in storing that thing, carting that thing around with me all the time. I gotta make sure I can, afford to pay for it and continue paying for it, whatever that upkeep's gonna cost, or buying new things. I mean, even buying the bow was sort of like I labored over that decision for like a month.
What kind of boat you got?
No, my bow.
Oh, bow. Yeah. But that's small space though, right?
It's still small. Yeah, it's still small, but I know I gotta it's gonna go in a cabinet somewhere, which means something else isn't gonna go in there, and I just have more things to lug around. And so if you're not taking responsibility for that decision, though, it just stacks up really quickly on you too.
Yeah, so I got a ton of stuff, right? And we move every 2 years. Like, this is the first time we've been in the same place for 4 years. So I got a motorcycle trailer because I was pissed at having to buy, like every time I move my motorcycles, it would cost me money.
Were you paying someone to do it before?
Yeah, and so now 2011, I was on a TV show, and they gave me a gift card, so I traded a gift card for a trailer. Awesome trailer, 12 foot, 6 foot wide, get everything in there. And when we move, my wife works from home, so like I got to put her office in there at the end so that it's the first thing off the trailer.
Right.
But we had it in storage. We paid $200 a month. She's like, the trailer's only worth $2,000. We paid $2,400 a year for it, And so I was like, all right, I'll find someplace cheaper to store it, but it's 40 minutes outside of town, 35 minutes outside of town. It's almost up here in Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm paying $20 a month now. So now she's like, okay, you can keep the trailer. But now I want to get rid of the motorcycle, even though it's my dad's, and it has a lot of sentimental value. I hate riding it. It's a big Harley.
What do you? It's just too heavy, or
It just sucks.
just doesn't
like
move right?
I don't enjoy riding motorcycles that you got to manage, right? Like I'm not about the size. Like I got a Honda 250 that I built in '08. I was out of work. I left Iona. They shut down the football program, so I was out of work for like 3 months. So I went to a guy's backyard, got a motorcycle, tore it all down, chopped it up, made a cafe out of it, basically. A little bobber.
What's that? What's your dad's is a Harley?
Yeah, he got a Harley.
Does it take a lot of what year is it?
2001 Y Glide.
That's not so bad. That's not going to take nearly as much work though as anything pre-2000.
No. It's not work.
It's not like upkeep.
It's not work. It's just like, I'll give you an example. Like my Honda, I push start, it starts, I drive off.
Yeah, man.
The Harley, you got to wait 5 minutes for it to warm up.
Yeah.
Right? And
it's a different beast.
That, and you pull up at a stop sign, you trying to manage, keeping the bike upright.
Yeah.
You on a Gixxer 600, it's like, you stop, you put your foot down. It weighs like 400, 500 pounds.
Yeah.
The Harley probably weighs 800.
There's so many beginner riders, too, who just grab a bike that's way too big for them. Like, I got my first bike, and it's the bike I have now. And what I love that it's light now, because now I have to load it in a truck every couple weeks, and haul it with us. And so I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't get a giant freaking bike. But people get those bikes that are like 1,000 pounds plus.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, you're going to just try to come to a stop at some point. It's just going to fall over on you. Like, even mine's like if it starts tipping, that's hard to hold up 500 pounds like that as it starts. That momentum starts carrying down. People don't get that.
I tell the story. I was in New Hampshire, and my dad had shipped it out. He's like, I'm done riding motorcycles. He got older, and he was like, all right, you can have it. So he ships it out to me, and so I put it in. It was in my garage for a year, and then I sent it to the motorcycle shop, and I rode it up there, and then they called me, and they was like, hey, come pick it up. So I started it up, and I was a little impatient on the warm-up, so I took off, and literally I'm pulling out of the garage, and I kill it, and it's like,
yeah.
And it goes to fall over, and I literally have to use every ounce of might that I have to keep it from falling over.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, this sucks.
You're just going to pull something doing that, too.
Yeah,
It was just messed up.
And I don't like riding it on, like, I'm not a big freeway dude, like, I've got 2 dudes from the Naval Academy that have literally almost died on motorcycles. Gixxer, I'd love a Gixxer 600, but it's a organ donor, as my doctor calls it. You know what I mean? So, like, my 250, bebop around town, be careful, stay away from people.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Covering any distance on a bike, it's like, that's not really the fun part to me. Like, and that's what I kind of like, too, is we'll get it to a good spot, and then you just ride around that spot. Like, one of the first places we stopped was in the Black Hills in South Dakota. It was right on the tail end of Sturgis, and it was just some of the best riding I've ever done, but I didn't have to go to get there. I don't think I would really like going to get there.
What do you got?
It's a Honda Shadow 750.
Okay, so yeah, that's super size, right?
Plenty
nice.
to get around, yeah.
And that's the whole thing on my 250. Like, I wish I would have they got a 400 Rebel.
What's like the max speed you can get on
like
a 250?
70.
That's
so
not...
my clutch slips a little bit, but it don't ride nice at 70.
Yeah.
So I rode it a ton in San Antonio, and up here you got it. It's good for like 3 months. I got it. It's in the garage right now. I got to build a new breather box for it, because I took the breather box off, but it's a air aspirated carburetor.
Okay.
And it needs a little bit of a vacuum to suck in the like just idle gas. So right now it's just an open carburetor, and it works fine, but you gotta let it warm up just a little bit. Not like the Harley.
Yeah.
So
it's a good thing to have in Champaign, though. I feel like that town's pretty. You can get around pretty much anywhere in Champaign on just city streets, and it's not bad riding.
Yeah.
The weather holds up on you.
Yeah, until it gets to the winter, right?
Yeah,
but
it's pretty rough.
So I tell you this little background. So I grew up on a motorcycle too. So I started off in like 6. I got a new dad. That's when I got my dad. My mom got remarried at like 8, but we were living with him at 6. So I started off on a tote goat. You know what a tote goat is?
I don't know.
It's a lawnmower motorcycle.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah.
it's a motorcycle that has a lawnmower engine.
Yeah.
And
Does it look like a scooter, like your legs go up on the...
No. It looks like
Like a mini bike or something like that?
yeah, like a mini bike, but it's fat.
Okay.
It's wide,
Yeah.
and it like had a belt drive slip clutch.
Okay.
And so like when you let the clutch out, it squeezed the belt, and then, but I had to fix it every time I wanted to drive it. So like I would ride it every day after school for 30 minutes, but I had to fix it. That always was the debate. And then when I was 8, I got a CT70, a Honda.
Okay.
And I rode it every day.
Yeah.
Every day after school, I rode that. You know.
Did you ride around town at all? Did your parents let you?
9th grade, I got to ride it to school
Okay.
with a like a hooked up license plate.
Yeah.
License plate. My dad printed. Did he print it?
No way.
He made the sticker, like the year sticker, taped it on there. And he was like, "All right, if you get pulled over, like you're on your own."
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't break no laws, don't speed." But like, you don't realize it now, but in my town, everybody knew who I was.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody, like, you knew everybody. So like when the cops saw me go by, and I'd be like, "Oh man, don't pull me over." They just weren't pulling.
Yeah,
me.
it was just like Jake's riding by, and we know it's all good.
They know he's a 9th grader.
Yeah.
He don't have his driver's license.
Yeah.
So.
Were you? Was it so? It was a small town, or was it like a big high school you went to?
No. Like 5,000 people in my town.
Okay.
Split in 2 parts. So you got Lower Stillicum. All the kids from Oak Brook went to my high school. So that's 3 miles away, like kind of a little rich enclave in Tacoma.
Were you like a star in high school? Cause did you wrestle, do football, or anything like that?
Yeah, like I wrestled and football and golf. I don't know about a star so much as like I just won. You know, I won a state championship in wrestling. I went to private high school the last 2 years on scholarship. That was a pretty unique experience.
How did that happen? How'd that come about?
I gotta believe that my Jewish grandfather had something to do with it, but I really can't. He died in senior year of high school, so it was just weird. They called me out of the blue one day and was like, "Hey, you want to come to Charles Wright?" And I had went to Charles Wright in 3rd grade and just had an awful experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was the only black kid there in 3rd grade. When I got there in high school, there was 3 of us. So it was a pretty unique experience, but I want to go to Naval. I was going to Naval Academy already, so I needed to up my academic acumen a little bit. And the calculus teacher at my public school sucked, and I was going to go to the community college and take classes up there. But this just seemed like a better deal.
Yeah.
Go over here to the number 2 high school in the country, full ride.
You had a unique way of getting into Naval Academy too. I got to hear that story, so I won't make you retell it to me or anything, because there's another podcast out there where you have a really good story about it. But I found it kind of funny, as you're talking about, you show up, you didn't really know you were in the Navy, like didn't really.
Not really.
Hadn't locked in.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Had
Just
no
showed up.
idea.
So it's kind of how stuff happens with me. I tell everybody, like I teach all my mentees, we always come in the back door, right? Like everybody else in society walks in the front door, and there's always, like, you ever come in a room, you go into some interview or something, there's always somebody in front of you. There's always somebody that's sitting in the room, and you're like, man, how'd this dude get in this room?
Right.
They said the doors open at 8, and I'm the first guy in line. How'd these 2 guys get in this room?
Because they're coming through back door.
They coming through the back door.
Yeah.
They ain't coming the front door with everybody else. So, couple driving factors in life. 3rd grade, I couldn't read at all. Like C-spot run, I couldn't read that. And so I was gonna get held back in the 3rd grade. So that summer kind of sucked. I spent the whole summer with Bill Miller, who's one of our family friends, who's a reading specialist. And we did 8 hours a day. Like, I'll never forget. The 3rd grade summer, I didn't have a 3rd grade summer. I spent 8 hours a day, every day, all summer, with flashcards and because I couldn't read anything. And so that kind of forced me down a math and science path.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you're going to gravitate towards what you're good at.
Yeah, you stick to your strengths.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't see that as a bad thing necessarily. It's funny because you and I had real similar 3rd grade summers, but for totally opposite reasons. And I was really lucky. My mom was a teacher, and so I was exposed to a lot of things really early. And so I ended up skipping 4th grade. So my 3rd grade summer, I was doing the same thing you were, except it was to prepare to skip that grade.
Yeah.
So we both lost our third grade summers, man.
Yeah, I was fighting it out now.
Yeah.
I remember it was awful.
Yeah.
But it pushed me heavy into math.
But you
and
made
science.
it on, and then you were good to go on to
Yeah,
fourth
kind
grade.
of. I mean, I graduated high school with third
Didn't
grade
get stuck.
reading level. So I had a 240 math or 240 English SAT. Like, that's what I had. But my math score was out of this world, you know. And I tell people, like, I won the University of Washington science program. They have a science fair every year, and I won it 7th, 8th, and 9th grade and beat everybody in the engineering competition. And so I got that full scholarship to the University of Washington in 8th grade. And then I parlayed that and a couple letters of recommendation into the Naval Academy in West Point.
So when you were at the Naval Academy, was the intention to do something with engineering, or what was?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So people don't understand how bad the Naval Academy is as far as time goes. So if it's funny because as you get older and wiser, you look back and you reflect and you're like, man, I should have ate the bullet and went and did naval architecture, right? Or aerospace engineering. Like, I would have loved both of those because I would have got to build really cool stuff, right? Like boats and ships. And so, but I remember this, my dude Gravy, Dave Anderson, was a tight end on the football team. He was in my company freshman year, and we had to pick majors. He goes, listen, Jake, he was like, you really smart. You got 3.0 first semester at Naval Academy. He's like, what do you think? And I said, man, I want to be an aerospace engineer. He said, you do understand that you play football and that you won't be able to do anything but study and play football.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, what do you mean, Gravy? He said, listen, man, like, you're going to take 24 credit hours the last 2 years you're here. Like, my roommate was systems engineer. It was 24 credit hours because they're getting a engineering degree in 4 years. And so, and it's not easy classes, right? Materials, strengths, statics. Like, it's legit heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And my roommate studied all day. He studied till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning every day. And so he's like, what do you know? Oh, shoot, I know computer science. He said, what do you mean you know? I said, I've been programming since 7th grade. He said, what, you think you could do computer science and not have to work that hard? I said, if I take computer science, look, I don't know if I learn anything. So I chose computer science based on that. One class I learned something in.
Was it more so that you'd have time for the sports, or so that you'd have time for just something outside of those two things?
A combination of both, right? So
you wanted your life more than whatever that degree was.
Yeah, and I don't think you could. So I went and wrestled my junior year. I had a 2.4. Like, the worst GPA I had there. It was awful. But I was cutting weight. You couldn't function in school.
Yeah.
And I had 15 credit hours. I took summer school every summer to make sure I didn't have a bunch of classes. But it comes back to, like, you don't have any quality of life there. But if you go do engineering, like, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, and looking back, you know, do I go do engineering and not play football? That would be the real question, right? Like, you know, and I had a great experience playing football at Naval Academy. I had, you know, the experience there sucked. Like, I had a ton of people that I put into the Naval Academy at West Point, and I tell them, like, one of my kids is there now, and you know, we had to fight to get him into school, and we got him in, and he went to prep school, and so sophomore year, I got a call. Hey, you know, I think he's trying to go to Colorado. Oh, okay, all right. So I get him on the phone. Hey, man, what's going on? He's like, man, I'm just not happy here.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, okay. I said, what are you trying to do? He said, I think I'm going to go to Colorado. I said, cool, man. I said, cool. I said, the only way you're going to Colorado is if you're in a coffin. What? I said, yeah, man. I said, what? You got a cemetery picked out? And he was like, I said, yeah, the only way you leaving is if you're dead. And he was kind of like, Jake. I said, hey, man, listen. We did all this work to get you here.
Mm-hmm.
You skipped your junior summer travel league baseball season to take pre-calculus so you could take calculus your senior year. I said, you're not going to Colorado. Like, you're not leaving. And I said, what did I tell you before you went? You said it's going to suck really bad. And I said, so does it suck really bad? He says, it's awful. I said, okay. Are you good with that? Yeah. Right? And that's that conversation that, like, that's what allows me to help all these guys behind me have it better than I had. I didn't have somebody putting it in context.
Yeah.
Like, I knew I couldn't go back to Washington State. That's why I didn't leave. Right? When I got shocked that first day and realized that I had joined the military and all this other crazy stuff, and I wasn't really going to college. I was going to the military, and I just was going to take classes, and like, I didn't have no choice.
But you stuck with it. I mean, you stuck with it past that point too.
I didn't have a choice though, right? Like, I didn't have no way to fund college.
And have a different opportunity.
Yeah, like my scholarship to Washington was gone. You know, I could have went and wrestled at Oregon or Oregon State. That's gone. You know, it was August 7th. And part of that is just being smart enough to realize the opportunities you have. It wasn't, I mean, shit, I tell everybody. Could I have made a better decision in college? Yeah, maybe. If I went to West Point, I think I probably would have had a better experience in the military. Just because the two leadership styles are so much different, the Army versus the Navy. But they had a writing requirement junior year that was getting people. I couldn't write my name. So I was like, West Point. And then I was in a town, so I grew up right next to Fort Lewis, Washington. There's probably 40 West Point grads in my town. Not one person pulled me aside and said, hey, man, here's the difference between West Point and Naval Academy.
Right.
I literally picked the Naval Academy over West Point because it has sailboats on the cover. And it had a higher academic profile than West Point.
Is it the same for your guys now at U of I? Like, do they have to pick between like a hard major in their sport?
You know, I say this, because you got 5 years in college eligibility, it's different. Like, we got engineers. We got, you know, you could do anything you want at University of Illinois just because your time requirements aren't the same, right? Like, they're not making you get a 140-hour engineering degree in 4 years. You can take 6 years. You know, we got a bunch of kids getting master's degrees. So it's different. And the time requirement's different. You know, we're going to take 20 hours out of you in the season, but out of season, we only get 8 hours. The Naval Academy, I spend 4 hours a day messing around in formation and military stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot less strain on your time. This is what it is. But okay, so Illinois football had a good season last season, from what I had heard.
Yeah, we did pretty good.
And are they expecting everything to come back to normal this year? I mean, it's kind of weird right now. Yeah,
I mean, the big thing is, you know, kind of, we got a really good team, so it'll be interesting to see. Kind of, there's been a couple classes of dissenters, and they're all gone now. So now it's like, okay, we're ready to go, and the guys recognize that. I do a lot of stuff, like, I'm the man director. I do a lot of leadership stuff. I do a lot of team building stuff. I'm a sports psychologist. Like, I do all of that stuff, and like, we're in a pretty interesting place. Like, you know, when you got a group of guys that are capable of winning.
Yeah.
And they realize that now. A lot of times in the last 3 years I've been here, we didn't realize how good we were. And we showed flashes. Like last year, we beat Wisconsin. We beat Michigan State. Came back in both of those games.
Right.
Crazy. And it's one of those deals, if they just played hard every play, it would always be like that. We win a lot of games.
Yeah.
But they don't, you know, it's one of those deals you got to learn how to win.
Well, it's the mindset thing. I mean, that's true with any sport. It's true with any pursuit, obviously. It's all just mindset. So that's going to come down to you. It sounds like that's kind of your job there, is to get the mindset right with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lovey's job. Lovey does a great job leading the team and all that. I'm kind of a cleanup guy, right? Like, I know there's 105 guys. I know which 4 guys I got to make sure I watch. I know which 2 guys I got to talk to get the team to go in a certain direction.
Do they meet with you about, like, their classes and things that happen outside of just practice?
Yeah, I meet with them about everything.
Really?
So, you know, personal problems at home. You know, like right now we just got a group of freshmen. I onboarded. So last year was the first class that I got to onboard because I got the job in like October of 18.
Okay.
So the 19 class was the first class that I got to onboard, and I got after them all summer. We didn't have a single kid transfer. We didn't have a single problem out of them. Okay, and so I'm doing this class the same way. And, like, right now, they've been here a month. We're going to start seeing some homesickness problems, right? Kid called me in my office crying and stuff like that, which is fine. I mean, in the Navy, you see guys, you know, like I had a division of people. I had 60 people in my division on my ship. Half of them didn't want to be in the Navy. Half of them got tricked into the Navy. So, like, I had a girl who had a master's degree in education, and they told her she could teach class in the Navy. and now she's chipping paint. And so she was crying every day. And so you see it, right? And it's my job as the leader to make sure that they doing good.
Yeah.
So I took her and I put her in training on our ship. She ran our training. She did a little E3, and she loved it. But that's the best I could do. You know, you got a master's degree, and you got 6-year enlistment in the Navy.
I think that's the one thing I don't get, that I hear a lot about the armed forces, is just you have to think that there's got to be a better way to utilize the unique skills that every person has, because it's possible. It's possible to find out what is that person good at and put them in those roles. And there's always going to be a job someone doesn't want to do. No one's going to be like, oh, that guy's got skills in chip and paint.
Yeah,
that's not going to be someone who's going to walk through.
Yeah.
But why is it that way, that it's not, they don't hone in on someone's strengths like that?
So I say this, like, if I had to take the demographic of the enlisted person in the military out of the SEALs, just general on my ship, they were trying to get out of their situation, right? The Navy was a way out of a bad situation.
Right.
And so therefore they're not really looking at the opportunity of the military as much as they're looking at getting out of central Chicago, south side Chicago, right? Looking at, you know, hey, I'm in the middle of the country. I just want to go see the world. I've lived on this cornfield for 18 years. Let me just go enlist in the Army and get out of here, right? And so then they don't worry about the job. And the recruiters are really slick. You know, the recruiters are like car salesmen. They're going to sell you that lemon for 10 times more than it's worth, and you're going to buy it, and then you're going to drive it down the street. It's going to blow up, and you're going to be pissed off. But, you know, like what I found in the Navy was you just got to figure out how to get to that person. You know, I had a guy, this is one of the best stories I got from the Navy, like leadership-wise. I had a kid that was a drunk. And I had a chief that had 8 DUIs. Okay, so I told the chief, don't mess with the division. Don't ever go down there. I don't need you. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I had 8 DUIs. How does that happen?
That's old Navy.
Don't they take your license away?
Yeah, he didn't have a license, but he still had a car.
Oh, Jesus. All right.
So I look in the car. He going to South Carolina to see his family. There's 12-pack of beer on the seat. I say, Chief, what you doing? I'd be all right. Okay, shoot, go. You know, all right.
He was old school.
Yeah, just And so this kid I had was he was a great kid, but he was drunk all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So he got a DWI, got in trouble, but he was an amazing artist. So I said, man, you know what? I said, what makes you happy? He said, I just want to paint all day. Okay. So he painted this huge deck ape on the front of our ship. It was awesome, like straight not graffiti, like an actual live gorilla pulling an anchor chain with a Dixie cup on, like 10 feet wide by probably 10 feet high. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So we had to cover it up and pour it. It ended up getting painted like a year later. But like when we were doing unreps, we unveiled the deck ape.
Yeah.
And so when the ships pulled off from us, because we were an oiler, we get phone call like on the oh my gosh, that's so awesome. We'd be like, and so he had a bunch of pride.
Yeah.
So then when he got done with that, I said, man, I'm gonna use this dude. So I made some flyers up, and I went to the whole waterfront. You know, there's like 65 ships in Norfolk. And I handed them this thing. I said, hey, they paint doors in the military. So like on your ship, like if you got a door to your space, you paint it, and you make it look good. Whether that's a logo, whether that's just a mural, whatever you do. But like a lot of the doors in the ships on the Navy are painted. So I said, hey, we got to do that'll paint for MWR equipment, which is morale, welfare, and recreation, balls and stuff like that. So I farmed him out, man, for 6 months. That dude it'd be like, hey, man, you going to the Eisenhower for a week. They got some doors for you to paint. He'd be like, all right, yeah. So he didn't even work on my ship. I got a free van out of it, a big 16-pack van. I got 300 basketballs from the carrier. So the carrier was like, hey, we need it for a week. I said, all right, I need 300 basketballs. They were like, no problem. Boom, gave me 300 basketballs. So I did that, like I bartered him out. Like, hey, we need some non-skid. Non-skid was hard to get. And so I was like, hey, I need 10 cans of non-skid. They're like, all right, got you. So for 6 months, he killed it for our ship. He just didn't work on a ship.
Do you do that for just anyone? Or I feel like almost from what I hear in your stories and the things I've heard before, it seems like you almost do that for someone who is struggling more than you'll do that for someone who's already succeeding. Like it seems like you go out of your way to find someone who's having that hard time.
No, like so it's funny. like I'm getting a lot of requests to mentor right now. So I got to build something so that they can get mentoring without me talking to them, because I don't deal with average people.
That's a really high. That takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time, and I don't deal with average people.
Yeah.
Because
what makes someone average though? For someone's listening, it's like, man, I need Jake as a mentor.
Yeah, like I tell people, like, I'm willing to do anything it takes to win. Like, what time do we start this interview?
Yeah.
Started at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Okay, we did that because I got to go to work.
Yeah.
And you wanted to do it at 11 o'clock. Okay, that's great, but I can't do it at 11 o'clock.
No, hey, for the record, I want to do it at 9.
9. Okay, I can't do it. But yeah, like I got a board
You're
meeting.
gone.
I got a board meeting at 11:30.
Starting back up again.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I want to do this. When can I do it? Well, I can squeeze it in them 2 hours before the kids get up. Like, I'm still gonna go home, pick up the kids, take them to school.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is. I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. Right?
Right.
Like, I tell people, like, I studied for the SAT 4 hours a day for 9 months straight, trying to get I was trying to qualify for an ROTC scholarship, and I couldn't do it. Like, I kept getting I cheated on the SAT. One test, I took English the whole time. I wasn't really cheating. I didn't do any math, and I got a 420 on the English. I was so excited, but I needed a 450.
Mm-hmm.
I took the SAT 11 times.
Jesus.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know,
But I don't know. I get frustrated just like you because I don't think people know what it takes. So for me, I mean, it's the same thing. When we were meeting up, I was like, so I had found your show, Dude, You're Screwed.
Mm-hmm.
It came up on Prime. I was watching the show Alone a little while ago, and they were like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you might like this one too.
Yeah.
And I saw, actually, it's funny, I was watching that when we were like in Washington, I think, just a while ago. And then I'm scrolling through, I'm looking for my next podcast guest, and I always go to a location. And so I'm just like, who's in Champaign? And then something you had posted popped up, and I was like, there's no way that's the same dude from that show that I just watched.
Yeah.
And so for me, then I saw, all right, if this dude even takes the time to respond to me, then I can make this happen. And I'll be where he wants to be, when he wants to be there. I'm going to bring the camera set up. Like, we're going to do this whole thing right. People don't understand that there are steps in there. I've spent like 2 days running all over town to just get the tables and get everything set.
100% right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I know that that's what it takes, and I'll get scrappy with it.
Yeah.
But not everybody will get scrappy anymore. They just think if it's not laid out right in front of them, it's not worth doing, must not be worth doing.
Most people won't get scrappy, right? Most people won't do it. That's
the
why
back door.
So I'm gonna tell you this incredible deal I got going on, man. So I'm super accessible, right up until I'm not, right? Like, right up until you show me that you're not worthy of my time, then I cut you off, right? Like, I just, look, do this, come back and see me, okay? So I've mentored, I probably got 150 direct mentees that are murdering it. Like, we got a CEO of a nuclear submarine. We got the #1 SEAL intelligence officer in the Navy. I got the number 3 or 4 person at PIMCO, the largest conglomeration of money in the world. I got a former player that had a 1.76 that now is running a multi-million-dollar real estate business in Dallas, former NFL player, right? I got NFL kicker at the Colts. Like, I got just guys that were willing to listen,
Right.
and then do what they had to do, right? And so I got a phone call 2 years ago from a 7th grader, DM in my Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I respond to everything, period. But I got a rule. If you under 16, I'm not going to talk to you without your parents.
Right.
And it's funny because I got caught the other day. I got on the call. I said, how old are you? He's like, I'm 15. I said, listen, man, I can't talk to you. If you ain't over 16, I'm not going to talk to you without your parents present. So, like, I still haven't got back on the phone with that kid. So anyway, this 7th grader hits me up, and I wish I would have recorded it because it was epic. So we meet in a coffee shop with his dad. His dad brings his two siblings, and we sit down. We have an hour conversation about what it takes to be a Navy SEAL. And he's a young kid, and so if you're a minority, I get you in the Naval Academy with a 3.0 and 1,000. Okay, easy. If you're not a minority, I need a 1490 and a 4.3. Or you got to be an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Like, that's it. Like, that's the 2 options.
Right.
So
Was he a minority?
No, he's not a minority.
Okay, so he's a high bar to reach then.
High bar to reach.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said, listen, you're in 7th grade, and he's a boxer. He likes fighting. I said, so you got to go win a state title in wrestling. You win a state title in wrestling in Illinois, you good. They'll take you at the Naval Academy to wrestle. If you want to be a Navy SEAL, then wrestling is your best avenue for success. And it'll get you to the Naval Academy, because Naval Academy has roughly 40 billets a year to go SEALs. ROTC has 15. The general population has about 5 to 8, just depending on the year. And lateral transfers. So,
is it because they know the system better, or like
they just
more equipped for it?
Naval Academy has a 90% success rate at buds. Everything else is like 70% with officers, and it's like 30% with enlisted dudes. Okay. So it's just a higher. They're getting more officers through the program if they take more academy guys.
Got it. All right.
And I really think it's because the academy kids know what they're getting into.
Yeah, that's what
whereas
I would think.
Everybody else doesn't.
Yeah.
So long story short, we meet this coffee shop, and I kick myself for not. This is 2 years ago now. I wasn't recording everything I do. Like right now, I got my phone set up, recording this. You recording it. I'm recording.
Yeah.
It. I record everything. If I'm talking, I'm recording it.
Right.
And so we sit down at the coffee table, and it was just an epic conversation, because I knew that I had a superstar sitting across from me. And it wasn't what do I need to do. It was more what do I need to do, and not how do I need to do it.
Yeah.
Superstars don't care about the how.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? Okay, listen, man, what's your grades? I got B's and C's. Are you dumb? No, I'm not dumb. So why don't you have straight A's? I just haven't applied myself. Okay, cool. So I need straight A's. Mm-hmm. Boom. First semester straight A's.
Yeah.
Right? And that's kind of that, okay, you're going to have to show me.
Yeah.
Right? Like I got a bunch of fat dudes calling me. Right? Now, that's fine. Like, cool. Okay, go on Whole30, lose 40 pounds this month, and call me back.
Who want to go and be SEALs? Is that what
No,
they
some do, right? Some, but just generally guys want to get better.
I think people are just looking for inspiration everywhere they can find it. The thing is, it's everywhere. There's so much motivation. There's so much inspiration. Mm-hmm. We have the internet. It's full. You can go find any of your videos, any of anyone's videos. So at what point do you just need more and more and more inspiration? That's what I wonder, because I just think people just sit there and they're just waiting for something to.
Everybody wants to
click with
hand
them.
it to
It's just
right. Like, so it comes back to like, so dude called me, hey man, you go lose the 40 pounds on Whole30 in a month. When you lose 40 pounds, call me back. I don't ever get the call back, right? Because they won't go do Whole30. So anyway, my young dude, so he killing it first semester. He gets into wrestling, does okay, gets thumped. 7th grade, 8th grade wrestling. Illinois is really good. Gets thumped, comes to me. So we sit down probably. I got to talk to him again. We talk probably once a month now. So our last conversation was last week. And so he's got straight A's since, 2 years of straight A's. He's killing Khan Academy. So we got him on Khan Academy. Got to take chemistry, physics, calculus, all this stuff. So we're going over this year's schedule. He's taking biology, physics, chemistry, and trigonometry this year. I said, hey, is that too much? He said, nah, I've done each class twice on Khan Academy. He said, I'll be fine. Okay, cool. So then we're talking about boom, boom, and he goes, hey, I don't know if you're going to like this. So he's got massive capabilities, and what you find in massively capable people is they tend to do a lot of stuff, and they lose focus sometimes. Yeah. So
I've been that same way my whole life.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Same thing.
You just gotta pick.
Yeah, you gotta buckle down. Yeah. So he goes, hey, I'm gonna get this bachelor's degree. I said, in what? He's like, in accounting. I was like, dude, what are you gonna get a bachelor's degree in accounting for? Like, it's not gonna help you. And he goes, I know, but it'll be a bachelor's degree. It'll help me get in the Naval Academy. So I'm thinking he's gonna take classes and all this stuff. And he goes, nah. He's like, they got this program out there where you test. You got to take 40 tests, and they'll give you a bachelor's degree in accounting. I said, So how long do you think it's going to take him to bang it out? He goes, oh, man. He said, I'll be done in 2 months. Right? You sitting there talking to a kid that's going to be a 9th grader. This is 9th grade year, going in 9th grade year. He's talking about going to bang out a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in accounting in 2 months. I said, how do you, like, what, have you been studying for this? He's like, yeah, I've been killing Khan Academy and all these accounting classes. He's like, this ain't even going to be hard. So I'm like, okay. So now we're waiting for the wrestling room to open, because I'm going to go over there and wrestle with him for an hour and a half a day, and he'll be a state champion in probably 2 years. And then he'll go to Naval Academy. He wants to be a SEAL. He'll kill that. He'll get to Naval Academy. He got the right mentality. But that's a superstar for you.
Yeah.
Right? And on top of that, he's been taking a journal of all of our conversations, And he's gonna, you getting eaten alive?
Yeah, my chair's just like, I was like, why am I sitting so far back? It's been sinking into the ground since we started.
That's what happened. We out here getting
Instead of
eaten
pull it
alive
like
by
a foot out of the ground.
mosquitoes.
They're not bothering me that bad
I'm getting
today.
eaten alive.
All right.
It's awesome. No, it's good though. You need that.
You don't mind that?
Nah, I mean,
That's all. That's just staying
part of
alive
being
to
out in
you.
the woods.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not big on bug spray, so you just get eaten alive. So anyway, long story short though, that's what Superstar looks like.
Yeah.
Right? Young kid. You know,
you just
no,
tell.
no
It's
limit.
unquestionable.
Yeah.
It's unquestionable. Either
And
you're doing it or not doing it. It's
Mm-hmm.
It just comes down to that. It's really simple.
Yeah, like part of it is that self-motivation, right? Like the great people want to be great because they want to be great. They don't have no outside influences. Like a lot of parents right now are helicopter parenting their kids and making their beds, and all they're doing is setting them up for failure in life because life is hard. You know, it ain't easy. You guys driving around the country in a Winnebago trailer, RV. You know, you're married. Like it's tough, right? Like you're running a business. Now, granted, your business is mobile, but at the end of the day, you got hardships.
I do hard stuff because hard stuff is what changes me the fastest. So, you know, there was like a period of time where, you know, okay, so after college, we lived in Andrew's parents' basement. We lived there for 2 years while we started the business, basically. And I was just doing as much work as I could do. But that was good at the time because I was young enough that I didn't need to sleep very often. I didn't even have to take care of myself at that point, really, because I could just work. But then you start to get to the point where you're like, I need to maybe take care of myself. But that's the same time that the business starts taking off and you realize I can have people help me now. I can have a team help me. We moved to Denver and we lived there for 2 years. And just because we moved so far away from family, we were in charge of ourselves. 2 years, make it work. I didn't know a single person. And doing that changed me, you know, to a certain multiplier. As soon as we got on the road, and we've been doing it for a year now and have no intention of stopping anytime soon, every month I'm changing the amount that I was changing in Denver in 2 years. Because the more hardship we have, the more it's like, we got to plan this. We got to figure out where we're going to stay, what we're going to do. I got to line up this, you know, shoot with this client. We got to get over there. We're going to drive, you know, 10-hour days. We just did Seattle to Charleston in a matter of a few days. That's a serious drive. And at the end of it, but you're different. You're different every time because you've just done this thing that's hard, and you're like, well, and it makes the world smaller because it's like anything's possible. We literally just went across the country. So when someone calls me and they're across the country and they have, you know, a gig for us, it's like, yeah, I've done that. We can do that.
And that's the whole thing. You know, it goes back to great people don't care, right? They don't care. Like I've been telling everybody, you go read this book called Relentless. It's about Tim Grover and or Grover, whatever his name is. He's the trainer for Jordan and Kobe and Wade and all them guys, and Kobe shooting at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
2 a.m, right? Like Jordan shooting 1,000 shots a day, 1,500, 2,000 shots a day, and you're like, oh. And so we talk about being obsessed, right? So it's interesting with my young kid. His dad's awesome, right? But his dad is not that dude, right? So he's raising a kid that's a savage.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we have conversations on the side. So young dude goes for a run. His dad kind of gets a little worried. It's been like an hour and a half. So he comes back. He goes, Dad, I ran 14 miles. Okay.
This is the 9th grader?
Yeah.
Yeah.
9th grade, right? So
yeah.
Dad's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
And so he calls me. He said, Jake, talk to him. He ran 14 miles. I said, that's good. He goes, what? I said, he's testing his limits.
Yeah.
Right? We're pushing our limits. Like, that's all it is. Like, with savages, it's about the limit, right? Like, how far can I go? And I said, you got 9th grader running 14 miles. Don't worry about it. Now, if he starts running 14 miles every day, we got a problem.
Yeah, he's going to hurt himself.
But once in a while ain't bad.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting because his dad was like, oh, I didn't think about it that
I mean, it helps, though. It helps when the thing that you're going to do, the thing you're going to be obsessed with, is something that you like. And I think some people think if you can just muscle through things you're not going to enjoy doing at all. And to me, I don't think that that's possible. I mean, it's possible, but it's not possible for a happy, successful life.
I'll tell you this. Here's what I'll say to you. I hated going to wrestling practice. Okay. And not because I didn't like practice. I just didn't like practice is always so much harder. Wrestling match 6 minutes, practice is 2.5 hours.
Right.
So my senior year of high school, I'm wrestling at the Charles Wright. I'm the best wrestler on the team by 5 miles. I can beat the heavyweight. I wrestle 148 and I can beat the heavyweight. Okay, so in Christmas you go wrestle with other teams. So we went down to Timberline High School, and it was 95 degrees in the room. I lost 14 pounds.
Jeez.
I was the only kid on my team to finish practice. And I came out of there, and I went home, and I was talking to my mom about it. I said, Mom, I need to go to Timberline every day. She goes, well, let me see if I could call Greg Ford. So Greg Ford was the wrestling coach. He was an awesome person, awesome dude. Never said a word, just was on one of the world teams in the 70s, just a great dude. So somehow she called him, and he was like, sure. So he said, you got to talk to your coach. So I go to my coach, and I say, hey, man, I need to go wrestle at Timberline every day if I'm going to win the state championship. He's like, Jake, I don't know. And he goes, you can't be the team captain. I said, I'm fine. I don't care about the team captain. He goes, well, it's really selfish. Like, you help our room. I said, yeah. I said, I understand that. I said, but I can't win a state championship in our room. So I just can't do it, right? And so every day I skipped English, of course, and I drove 45 minutes to wrestling practice. It was 2.5 hours. I lost on average, I lost 14 pounds of practice. Okay. I instantly didn't have to cut any more weight. I would weigh 150 every day after practice. I was 150, 151. Sometimes it'd be 149. I wrestled 148. So I literally, I had to get mentally prepared to go to practice at noon. I can remember eating lunch and be like, man, we got to go Timberline today. But then I won a state championship by 3 points over 3 matches. Right?
That's that front door, though. That's that front door that you're talking about. It's like people, it's not just walking through the front door. It's that people are going to hold open doors for you to go through the front door. So you've got a coach who's going to be like, nah, this is the way to do it. You stay team captain. You stay where you're at. But you said, where's the back door on this thing?
Where's the back door? Right? But that's the difference, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to find a way. I don't care. People always ask me, how'd you graduate from college? You couldn't read. I read my first book my sophomore year. I got tricked into taking a class. Well, no. Let me say it this way. I had an awesome teacher. I told this story a couple times, but I'll hit you with it. So my sophomore year at the Naval Academy, I was scrapping it out. I had D's in English, right? And I was scrapping. I had a guy on the football team. I would write my paper. My roommate has one of them to this day, and I have 2 paragraphs that are 1 sentence. There's 1 period in 2 paragraphs, and I use 50 ands in 1 sentence. And. It's just that's how I couldn't write.
It's just organizing your thoughts into written.
So my writer, my punter on the football team would rewrite all my papers. So
right.
I was doing okay. So I come into class one day. I'm sitting next to my dude, Grover Favors, one of my tight men from football, awesome guy. And they put up an overhead, right? The beginning class, one of them overheads. So I'm reading this mug. I'm like, so normally I might read 1 sentence and they're like, all right, everybody done? And, you raise your hand because you don't want nobody to know you can't read. So I'm sitting, I'm reading, and it's like, man. So I get done, and I hit Grover in the arm. I said, Grover, I just finished the overhead, man. He's like, good job, dude, good job. Because he knew I couldn't read. I'd known Grover for 3 years at that point.
Yeah.
So he said, man, that's awesome, dude. He said, you learned to read. I said, yeah. So I was all fired up, right? So then after class, my teacher, who was the first female special operations diver in the Navy, All-American swimmer from Florida, she called me a big 6-foot-tall thing. She was like, hey, Miss Shipman Zweig, I need you in my office tomorrow, 3rd period. And so I had a rough road at the Naval Academy because I'm not a conformist. And so I was in a lot of stupid trouble. I got in trouble. Foreign national was yelling at me at a table about orange juice. I didn't understand what he wanted. So I was like, hey, man, why don't you speak English?
Yeah.
And I got in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go back to my room. I'm talking to my roommate, Bo, and I'm like, Bo, man, what did I do? He's like, I don't know. So boom, the next day I go in her office, and she had one of them prototypical professor's offices, right? All dark wood.
Books everywhere.
Yeah,
all
books
over.
everywhere, and it was a desk light. That was I was in an interrogation.
Yeah.
So I sat down.
Turns it on you.
And she goes, all right, we're gonna cut to the brass tacks. So I'm sitting there like, well, you know, shoot, what did I do? So she goes, you can't read. And I was like, so I had this whole spiel, you know, I go in my spiel. Oh, I can read. How did I get in the Naval Academy if I can't read, you know? And she goes, see, I knew you were going to say all this stuff. She said, do you remember the overhead yesterday? And I was like, I got a million degrees. You know when you know you in trouble and you got caught with some, you turned a million degrees, right? And so I was like, oh, crap. So she was like, 150 words. How long did it take you to finish? I said, I don't know, man. She said 11 minutes and 50 seconds. I said, okay. So about now I start crying. She goes, it's all right. She said, here's the deal. You got a C in my class right now. I'll give you a B in my class if you take this Learn How to Read class over Christmas. So Naval Academy, because it's the military, you don't have to go home for Christmas, and a lot of people don't go home.
Right.
So they have Christmas classes. It starts the day after the last semester, runs through Christmas and winter vacation, and then you're done when you come back and start normal classes like the 10th of January. So she's like, hey, if you take this Learn How to Read class, I'll give you a B. So I was like, I'll do anything you want. She was like, okay. So I took the Learn How to Read. I learned how to read. It's funny because I can read really well right now, but I can't remember anything. But if you ask me a question, I can give you the answer. So like super comprehension, but not functional.
But I feel like at the same time, because you can talk, you know, you can talk, you can tell stories, you can get your thoughts out in ways that make a lot of sense as someone listens to them, which is obviously a strength. And I think it's more of a strength now because we're moving away from having to write everything. I mean, you think about when people started making content, it was all like, all right, where's your blog at? It's all written. Yep. And now it's like, no, like, where's your YouTube channel? Like, what are you talking about? Yep. And I even think kids who at your level at that time, now they can whip out their iPhone and hit a button and dictate a paper. That's something that could have been a strength where you can just organize it because you can speak it, but you don't have to sit down and look at where am I putting all those different words.
Yeah. And that's, you know, it's interesting. Like my roommate still does my writing. So like my bio on LinkedIn, all that stuff. Like I banged out a new resume. Had 2 people work on it, and then I sent it to him, and he smoothed the whole thing out. And you know, it's like, it's funny because you always hear work on your weaknesses, but I scrap that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I ain't working on no
bother.
Weaknesses.
Follow your strengths and double down on them. I mean, you brought up Gary Vee earlier, and that's his whole thing. It's like he had the same story. He was terrible in school, and he's one of the most successful dudes in the country right now. I mean, just
murdering it.
Just get behind the thing that you're good at.
Yeah, because, like, I tell people I could work on writing. Like, so I got 3 kids, and we spent a lot of development time on them reading and writing early because I was terrified. I was crying. My wife bought them all this stuff. I bought all this stuff early on, hooked on phonics, everything. And my wife kept getting boxes, and she said, hey, Jake, what's going on? And I started crying. I said, man, listen, I do not want them to not know how to read.
Right.
And she laughed. She said, listen, she said, there are 2 master's degrees in this house. There is 0 chance that any one of these kids is not going to know how to read. And it's like, man. But now, like all 3, my oldest kid reads all the time. All my kids read. Like the 4-year-old's reading. He just turned 5. He's reading. And it's just one of those deals, right? Like,
you just didn't want him to go through that hardship. But at the same time, I mean, that being hard for you, that made you who you are also. I mean, you had to fight through things.
Yeah, but like, how much better would I be if I could read and write?
Do you have any, so that's the thing that I'm trying to get some clarity on too, is because I'm trying to understand, it sounds like you think about, okay, if I had gone through the engineering program instead, or if I had, you know, better reading and writing skills, but how do you think about regrets then? Because you seem like someone who's really happy with where your life's at and how everything's turned out.
The only regret I really have is not going to combat. I had an opportunity, and when I got into the SEAL teams, it was a pretty tumultuous deal, and I was really pissed off for about 4 years. And I could have went back, but I got out because I wanted a family, right? Like I was dealing with a bunch of trash in the SEAL teams, and I went to business school, and my whole goal was to get a family. And I had watched a Master Chief with 36 years of marriage get divorced. I had watched a bunch of guys get divorced, and I was just like, man, you can't have a family in this life, because it's a pirate lifestyle. You know, like it's. I tell everybody from 18 to 30, it's the best lifestyle in the world. But if you want to have kids and you want to have a family, like, you gonna get a divorce now. Like no one stays married. I know,
because you're just gone all the time.
I mean, you're gone 330 days a year, man. Like, even when you're not on deployment, you in training cycle. So you always gone. Like, there is no slow time. Right. And I tell people this is, so I was parachuting 2012, 13 for Dude, You're Screwed, right? Like, I wanted to do a bunch of parachuting on there. And so the fifth jump, I messed up on stowing my riser or my brakes, and I had a malfunction, and I was spinning to the ground. Jeez. It wasn't nothing super crazy. But it was crazy enough for me to be reminded that when you're playing a game of life and death, that game gets all of your attention. So I came home, I told my wife, we had 2 kids at the time. I said, listen, I got to check out for a month. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, listen, like, I almost died today. I didn't, but I almost. And I said, I haven't been giving just parachuting the respect that it deserves. So I checked out, right? I went to the drop zone. I got there at 8 a.m. I didn't leave until 6. I worked on all my procedures. I learned how to pack my rig flawlessly. I did everything I should be doing when you're doing something that can kill you. And so about 3 weeks in, she sat me down. She's like, hey, I want to know something. I was like, yeah. She goes, is this what it was like in the teams? I said, yeah, every day.
Right.
Every day you preparing to make sure that you're prepared so that you don't face the Reaper.
Yeah.
And she was like, so you telling me every day was like this? I said, yeah. She's like, so on Saturdays and Sundays you go to work? I said, oh, absolutely. I said, we got training start on Monday. I'm going to go in Saturday. I'm going to make sure all my gear's ready. Be there for probably 4 or 5 hours. And then I'm going to come in Sunday afternoon, recheck all my gear, lay everything out, make sure I'm ready to go for Monday. And she was like, man, so this is what you were talking about. I said, yeah, like, I'm doing something today that killed somebody last month. Like, if I don't prepare, then you're going to be short, but you can't have a family.
Yeah.
Right. So
what keeps you going when that's not the motivation? Because I can understand that, because I think a lot of people can lock into, like, all right, like, even when I ride the motorcycle, it's like, I better be sharp. I better know what I'm doing. I'm not going to just go out after it's been, even if it's just been a week or 2 and I haven't ridden, I'm not just going to go out on a super long ride. Like, I'm going to warm up to that. I'm going to remind myself, what am I supposed to be doing out here? But when that motivation's gone, what gets you going? Do you ever run out of energy, or do you just always have it for whatever the task is?
So it's funny. I got 3 kids that are wired the same way I am, and they have unlimited energy. Like, unlimited. Like, there's no limit to what I can do. So I don't really run out of gas unless it's something I don't want to do. Right? If I don't want to do it, and most of the time I don't even do what I don't want to do.
I think that's what I was saying too before, when just that it better be something you want to do if you're going to grind away at it all day long, every day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, like I made this Navy SEAL masterclass. Okay. And so it started off to be, all right, this is gonna, I'm getting all these phone calls for help. Let me multiply myself on the internet.
Right.
So then I started on it, and I had a piece of paper, and the whole paper was full of topics. So then I took the time and I broke every topic down, and well, shit, I got 13 and a half hours now. 13 and a half hours over 100 videos. And you're like, damn, right? But it was 2 to 7 videos a day for 2 months straight. Get up at 4:30 because I had to have a quiet house. I got 3 hellions, so they get up at 6, so I got to shoot from 5 to 6. Maybe if I get lucky, 6:15.
Yeah.
Then I got to take 30 minutes to cut all the video, or put all the video into the file, into the folders, organize all the sound files.
You speak my language. This is what I do
right.
all the time.
Like getting all that stuff
Yeah.
organized. It's just cleanup time.
Yeah,
right?
we just did a real similar thing like last year, where we were helping a team that's all online education, and we spent like 5 full days out with them. We lived with them for 5 days.
Yep.
And it was 8 hours a day, or longer, where it's just like, we're just knocking
Content.
out.
Yeah, so my big deal is, like, if I talk to you, I'm going to give you gas, right? And so, yeah, I got a limit on gas. I can't speak gas for 12 hours straight. Like, Tony Robbins talks about how exhausted he is after his talks, right?
Yeah.
Just spitting gas for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I found, let me do an hour and a half, bang. But the bottom line is, now I have something that if you ask me what's the value of it, like if I get $40,000 a month, I wouldn't be surprised.
Really?
Dude, it's gonna be $19.99 a month on YouTube. I'm gonna have a Padilla masterclass where I'm gonna have 40% on YouTube, 100% on Padilla. That's like, I can't see, like, it's every conversation that I have with my mentees.
Right.
So day one, you call me, I want to be a Navy SEAL. Okay, here's the conversation. Day two, you're serious about it. I give you a month to think about the life after we talk about it. Here's a test you have to do. When it rains the next time, you got to go in your backyard and sit there, no clothes on, lay in the grass, and don't move for an hour.
Right.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Right? So it's every conversation
Yeah.
now. Okay, you're getting ready to go to basic or OCS. That's a conversation.
Is that the question you get the most is, I want to be a Navy SEAL? I think people, you know what's interesting is there's an obsession for sure with the Navy SEAL mindset.
Yep.
And what I wonder is there value for people who don't want to be a Navy SEAL? Like everything you tell me, I'm like, fuck that. Just fuck that life. Like I love my wife. I like spending time with her.
Yeah,
I love traveling.
I tell people
I'm not about to do that.
So
But the mindset is something that we all want. We all want to be able to push ourselves through challenges and things. And we don't see that there's challenges in your backyard. Man, if it starts raining, go out, sit in the rain. It's weird. It's hard.
Yes.
It'll mess with you.
So it's interesting you say that because every now and then I've had, probably in the last year, since this Black History Month talk that I gave that kind of went viral, came out, and then the How to Train for SEALs video that I have, I get guys every now and then that got a family, and they're like, I want to be a Navy SEAL. So I got this construction worker in Colorado, and so great dude, right? And hey, bud, listen, man. Okay, this is what you got to ask yourself: are you willing to walk away from your family? And so I had him think about it for 2 months. So you call me back in 2 months, and we'll talk about it. And this is what he said to me. He goes, Jake, I talked to my wife and kids. We have a very strong relationship. I said, I'm gonna try. And I said, listen, bud, this ain't about you making it. You're a construction worker. You work 10 hours a day, every day. You kill it. Like, Buds isn't going to be that hard to you. It's not what you think it is. I said, but I can guarantee you this, you're going to be divorced in 2 years. And he kind of was like, well, we're going to, we got faith in God. I told him, I said, God ain't got nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can sit here and pray all you want. You're going to be going to do something that kills people, and your wife's going to know that, and she's going to have 3 kids at home, and your oldest boy isn't going to have a relationship with you. And he was like, And I said, yeah, I know 3 frogmen right now that their kids don't talk to them. They've been in a war for 19 years. One of my dudes got 24 deployments. He got a kid that don't talk to him.
But at least you're real about it.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not selling the bullshit. You're not selling the car, you know?
But it's funny because I had him, and then I had a dude that's the truck driver want to be a SEAL. And his wife was in the Navy, and she's like, chase your dream. And so but as soon as we talked about it, he was like, oh, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So that, it's interesting. Like, those are the conversations that I'm trying to multiply out here. And it's really just because there's so much disinformation out there. It's just disinformation about SEALs and the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And,
It seems like the warrior challenge somehow. It's like, do you have what it takes? And I think a lot of men and women ask themselves that question all the time. Do I actually have what it takes to do something that is incredibly hard?
It's funny. We got saying in the SEALs, everybody wants to be a frogman until it's time to do frogman shit. Right? And it's hilarious because everybody want to be the dude to land on the target and shoot Osama right between the eyes.
Yeah.
But they don't want to do the 25 years of work it takes to get to that, or the 10 years of, the 10 years of towing that sled every day.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that.
Just like everything else.
100%.
Just like everything
Just
else.
like we're talking about, right?
It'd be great to just wake up and just be a CEO of Amazon. Perfect. Yeah, I'll do that. Mm-hmm. No, you won't. That dude got laughed at for years.
Laughed at.
He's in his garage and people thinking he's an idiot.
Laughed at him. You're selling books on the internet.
Right.
And now, like, You know,
now he owns half the world.
Yeah, he's gonna crush it. Right?
Yeah.
He's at 170 right
It's
now.
done.
$170 billion.
It's done. He won the race already. There's probably not even a race to be
Now,
run
here's
anymore.
what's gonna be interesting though. I think they're gonna get hit with antitrust. But the crux of antitrust is it's bad for the consumer.
Right.
His is the exact opposite.
Right.
Right? But it's still like he literally is putting people out of business.
Yeah.
Like they, you know, like all these storefronts are going out of business.
Yeah, it's impossible to compete with that scale.
Yeah, I mean, I tell people like, dude, Amazon got a 2-hour delivery now. Now, not right now in COVID, but I'm saying they got 2-hour delivery.
Yeah.
If you pay the extra money, they'll deliver it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Instant delivery, they call it.
Do you think we'll all just end up working for Amazon one day? It's just going to be this massive. That's the only job. You're either delivering for Amazon or you're buying Amazon products. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. You know, I need to buy some Amazon stock. I've been saying it. Like, it's just one of those deals. It's gonna, because now it's become like your consumer buying habits are online.
Yeah.
Right? Even clothes, like you're online.
But it's like your son. You try to train those kids. Understand what it means when you hit that button. I even think it's good to give kids cash too. Like if you're gonna hit the button, then you hand me the cash right now.
So
out of your hand.
So my kids got cash boxes.
Yeah.
Right. And it's funny because my son will see something, he'll run and get $60 out the cash box, and then so I'll wait 6 months before a big purchase.
Yeah.
It'll take me 6 months to buy something.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'll just sit there and labor over that.
So
man.
we'll always hit him with, okay, if you still want it tomorrow, we can buy it.
Yeah.
You know, put your money back. Boom, he put his money back, and the next day he'll get his money out and he'll look. Nah, I don't really need that. Okay. Boom. You know.
Yeah.
So, just part of it. You
Yeah.
know?
So this masterclass, when's that coming out?
I don't know.
I don't even know when this episode's coming
We're gonna
out.
see. Yeah, we're gonna see. Right now my video dude's turning on it. So we shot the intro. I'll show you the intro when we get done. Our intro's gas, and that's the thing. Like you do TV, you know it's gonna look good.
Yeah.
It took us 15 minutes to shoot. 15 minutes, like one take, and it was like, damn.
Yeah.
So the intro, the extra is done. He's cutting classes, but he's a camp counselor this summer. He's a school teacher by nature. So don't let me hit like $340 a month, $340s a month, right, for 120, because I'm gonna pay him 60 full time. Like I'll pay him 60 to just mash film all day long.
Yeah.
But so he'll finish it up. I mean, if I gave him $2,000, he'd have it done in a couple weeks. So, but you know, I work for the University of Illinois, so I got to run up this form that allows me to make outside income. I really haven't been jacked to run that form up yet. So, you know, we got COVID going on. There's a chance we get furloughed.
Well, big thing is then for people, where can they find you so that when this thing does come out, they can get on it? So they can find you.
I mean, like I tell everybody, if you can't find me, you just ain't looking for
Yeah. Let me get your hand.
Cause my phone number, like I posted my phone number on YouTube. Literally, I posted my phone number 7 times.
Your cell?
Yeah, because I got some lunatic out there, you know, that's basically running his mouth on my on my YouTube, right? It's all this negative stuff. And so I said, hey, he's saying, oh, Jim Crow doesn't exist anymore. I said, listen, man. Okay, first of all, I don't even know who you are, but I know Jim Crow is in full effect. One of my wife's cousins is in prison for 17 years for murder he did not commit. And the only reason he's in prison for 17 years is because the prosecutor in Ahoskie, North Carolina, left him in jail for 5.5 years with no trial. Okay? And then after 5.5 years, it went from second-degree murder to the death penalty, and so he took a plea.
Is this what your Black History Month talk was on?
No. Black History Month talk was on
that I gotta
Navy
see.
SEAL.
I didn't
Navy
know that
SEAL
at all.
training. My Navy SEAL experience, right? A black man going through Navy SEAL experience. I'm the 5th black officer to graduate from SEAL training. There had been 13 black officers before me that had failed. So there was a graduate. There was 2 graduates, Harry Wingo and Rutherford in 88, 89, and then I graduated in 98. And there had been 13 guys before me that had tried and failed.
How many total go through like each year?
So African Americans or total people?
Just total people.
Roughly it's 250 get made a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
1,000 try and 250 get made, roughly.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I mean, that is what it is.
So your Instagram handle is just Jake Zweig. That's ZWEIG1911. I'll tag you kind of in the post and everything. And then we've got some cool pictures today. We got some video of this, and so people can go check that out, as always, on my Instagram, @THicksonLife, or on Twitter. And I think we're going to shoot a bow before you leave. Did you bring your bow?
Yeah, but how about this one? I ain't got no arrows. This is hilarious.
Use some of mine.
Yeah, I'll shoot a little bit. But it's...
Might break them.
So I got knack boxes, right? You know those big construction boxes? And they got all my outdoor gear. But I got my garage set up for pendulum painting right now. You seen the swing painting with the can?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've been tearing that up.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm pissed because like my motorcycle's in front of the knack box, and I got like 7 plastic big tote 50-gallon tote things on top of it. And last night I was like, man, I don't feel like unloading.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'm gonna bring my
It's cool,
bow, and then we'll see if he has arrows. And if not,
I got plenty. I picked some up yesterday. I lost one already before you showed up, so that was good.
Of course, that's what you do.
I'm gonna go
You lose
find
arrows.
it. I'll find it at some point.
The best thing is when you find them like a year later, and it's like right where you thought it was.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't
And
find
you just
it.
looked around. No one else picked it up
And
either.
the lawnmower went over it like 3 times, and so all the fletching's gone now.
Yeah, perfect stuff. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for doing this podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been a lot of fun, getting out early and just having this spot to ourselves and doing it outside has been good. So let's go shoot some arrows, man, because
100%.
this talking stuff wears me out. Let's go do
Thanks,
some fun.
Tyler. I appreciate it, bud.
I appreciate it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We will see you, as always, on the next episode.